Hey there, guys. This is Alrighty with Good Guys Gear. Unfortunately, I know I keep promising shooting and explosions and fun and stuff, but it hasn't happened. If you watched the AK video, there was a little Ford Ranger that we were using as a prop. That's my truck, and I found that it had a hole in the piston. So that's what I've been working on all week, and so wish me luck with that. But just to give you guys something to watch. If you watch the videos from last weekend, there was a Makarov video where myself and Kickstand, who's not here today, exhibited horrible shooting with the Makarov. Difficult gun, but not our finest hour either. And I dropped a little, kernel of excitement there with the Springfield Armory SOCOM 16, my personal go-to rifle. So, being as it's late and it's dark out, and I've been lapping valves for 2 days straight, I'm going to just give you a run over on that gun. This is the first rifle that I ever bought, which personally I feel like shows impeccable taste on my part. But anyhow, first rifle I ever bought, and I've had it now for 8-something years. I'm not really sure about that. And the reason I ended up with this was I wanted something more than a hunting rifle. And with some research, basically 223 was too small, or 556, same thing. 7.62 by 39 was inherently inaccurate, and the guns that shot it were all also relatively inaccurate. And so that pretty much left the 7.62 by 51 NATO, or civilian 308. And honestly, there are not actually that many guns in that class. You have the M1A, M14 family, the H&K G3 or PTR 91 family, the FAL, and AR-10s. And that pretty much wraps it up outside of, I guess there's the Scar Heavy, and there might be a few since then. I think there's a Galil now in 308. And anyway, at the time, Scar Heavy money wasn't in the budget, so that was flat, not going to happen. And the G3 PTR 91, especially at the time, got horrible reviews for reliability, and I would still feel like it's questionable. Ammo finickiness and just other stuff like that. And it also had the same huge glaring ergonomic issue that I have with the AK-47, which is the lack of a last shot bolt hold open, which I feel is very important on a tactical type rifle. So with those two being out, that leaves the AR-10, the M1A, and the FAL. The AR-10 is, especially then, and is still to some extent now, questionable at best to me as a go-to gun. I know that there are some really super nice ones out there, the piston-driven guns. I know SIG makes some. You've got your POFs and your LMT, I think, guns. And I know that they're crazy accurate and they're supposed to be super reliable and stuff, but I just, I didn't have $5,000 to spend, or I would have probably maybe gotten a Scar Heavy. But outside of that, outside of those few super high-end guns, the AR-10 is really not guaranteed to be that reliable. Just recently, a fellow that I know bought an AR-10, reputable company, got good reviews for reliability, and it was reliable for like 150 rounds, and now it's short stroking. And it's good ammo. He only shoots good ammo, no crap like me and Kickstand. So especially at the time, 8 years ago, the AR-10 was a very very, very questionable choice. So, of course, off the table, which left the FAL and the Springfield Armory M1A in my price range. Now, obviously, ergonomically from the get-go, the FAL would definitely be superior to an M14 based rifle. It's considered to be one of the most ergonomic rifles in the world. But it's not as accurate, and accuracy to me in a .308 rifle is very important because you have so much potential for accuracy. Sacrificing some of it would have to come with some huge benefit. And the other thing about the FAL is that it has a 12-position gas system that needs to be adjusted anytime you change ammo. And again, for, a truck gun, at the time I was really, really crazy into the whole bug-out bag thing and, the world coming to the end and stuff. And, so the idea of picking up a magazine off of a zombie and, it not working in my gun was just horrible at the time. And so that ruled it out 8 years ago. It just, between the fact that it wasn't as accurate and the fact that you needed to tune it to each load you were shooting, as good as they feel, as much as I love them, as much as I still want to own one, it just did not seem like the thing, which left the Springfield M1A on the table. And at the time, there was a SOCOM 16. I believe that the Scout was already out, and of course the full-length M14 type rifle. And so I looked at them, and reliability didn't seem to go one way or the other between any of them, and the handiness of the SOCOM 16 was so desirable. Didn't sacrifice that much accuracy. Now on that point, I will say, now that I have a full-length M1A as well, actual mechanical accuracy is not that much different. Attainable accuracy with iron sights, it's obviously easier to hit with the long M1A. It's got a 6-inch longer sight radius, which makes a huge difference. But anyway, so had this in just a regular Springfield stock for a long time, and made one Bubba stock that didn't really work out. It was based on a USGI fiberglass stock, and it broke apart and stuff because the new fiberglass didn't work with the old stuff. And so went back to a regular stock for a while, and then I bought a Sage EBR after much deliberation between it and the Troy MCS battle chassis. So I had this in Sage, and it was cool, and it looked awesome, and it weighed like 11 and a half pounds, guys. 11 and a half friggin' pounds. And I think, and it felt good to shoot because it was so heavy. It recoiled very little at all, but it was so heavy maneuvering it around. It just really took the fun out of the compact little rifle. I felt like I was shooting a full-size rifle. So, anyhow, moving on from that, still wanting, liking the ability to have a buffer tube and changeable AR-15 type grips, and the whole, modern combat rifle type feel. Again, I went back to the drawing board and built the stock you see here, which is a standard polymer Springfield Armory front end, cut off right behind the receiver, with the back half of a Sage Mod 1, I think, the one with the AR buffer tube. Mod 1 attached to the back of the Springfield polymer stock. Rear end around the back of the polymer is reinforced with a piece of steel. As you can see here, I've got these bolts that go through into a piece of C-channel to just really shore everything up back there. And so what I have now is a Springfield Armory SOCOM 16. I need to cut that down a little bit and say it in a shorter way. And what I feel is an excellent combat stock. It's fairly reminiscent of the Voltor or VLTOR mod stock. But my problem with the mod stock was, I looked at it a lot. I read reviews and stuff on it, but it uses a proprietary buffer tube. It's not actually a buffer tube. It's got some fancy dovetail thing on the end. And again, for, the zombie wasteland, that bothered me, because if you break it, you're never going to come across another VLTOR buffer tube. And so that kind of knocked it out. The Macmillan, I forget the number, but they make a folding M1A or M14 stock that does take a standard buffer tube, but it's heavy and it requires bedding. So kind of melded the two together in my own custom stock. It weighs either 4 or 6 ounces less than a standard Springfield stock with a metal butt plate, which I'm really happy about. You can see in the video, I'm a little lightweight guy, and this is a powerful gun. Does an excellent job controlling recoil, and so I'm really happy about that. And it's been together for nearly about 2 years now, and it's showing no signs of weakness, cracking, nothing at all. It's just as rock solid as the day I made it. So, custom stock, sorry guys, I cannot tell you where to go buy one of these. You're just going to have to build your own. As far as things that I've done to this rifle that you can buy, there are a couple of modifications that I'm really particularly adamant about on the M1A, and I have these mods on both of them. One is the Sadlac enhanced bolt or magazine release. It's about between 3 and 4 times larger than the standard M1A magazine release. And as you can see there, hopefully, it's also serrated on the back, which really gives you something to grab a hold of. Just worlds different. So much easier when your fingers are cold or you're running fast or whatever. It's very easy to get on and change mags. The other one, for you M14 buffs out there who don't know about this upgrade, who watched the video and thought, what did he just do? When I reloaded, if you noticed, I smacked the side of the receiver over here, driver's side of the receiver, to drop the bolt, which M1A guys know, and I'm sure all the AR guys love to ridicule us for. You can't do, you have to rack the bolt. Well, no you don't, actually, because you can get the Smith Enterprise extended bolt release, which, if I'm not mistaken, is actually a military issue part at this point, so you don't have to worry about the quality of it. And it allows for a reload. Boom. So you can cut tons of time and effort out of your reload with those two modifications. And I feel like ergonomically, they do worlds to bring a 50-plus year old rifle design up into the 21st century. So those two things I would absolutely do. If you buy an M1A, I would budget in an extra $100 and get those two, because they do so much for this weapon, and I really like them. Other things I've done, I have a USGI extractor and firing pin, and I also, if you notice, looking at the sight there, I actually have a military grade sight, the narrow aperture with the turned out ears instead of the standard SOCOM sight, because it is so wide and difficult to use at any extended range. And I really didn't like it. So I bought the Smith Enterprises gas block that adjusts the sight dovetail to use the military front sight assembly, because the SOCOM sight sits at a different height. If I'm not mistaken, the SOCOM sight is taller, I think. And it also has AR-10 threads on the sight block instead of the proprietary fixed muzzle brake that the SOCOM comes with. So it's really nice because it allows you to install pretty much any muzzle device you could possibly want to, including something you could mount a suppressor on if you're into class 3 or whatever you want to do, and it opens up a variety of sights for you, from really narrow match grade ones to standard military like what I have, and it makes it a lot easier to punch paper at range. I also got a military sized rear aperture because, again, the factory SOCOM sight built for QCB is just ridiculously huge and difficult at long range. Other than that, trying to think if I've done anything else to it. I don't think so, guys. I'd say that pretty well wraps it up as far as upgrades. And I have to say about this gun, with those things done to it, I do feel like there's not much competition for it. The reliability of the operating system is legendary. The only time that I've had any failures with this gun was that I used to lubricate everything with grease back before I got, more careful about these things, and there was grease in my trigger group, and I went out to shoot on like a 15-degree day, and I had a couple light primer strikes until it pushed the grease out of the way. So my only failures with this gun are operator error. So very reliable. I've run, I don't know, I haven't kept track, guys. I'm bad about that. I've probably run 1,500 or 2,000 rounds through it, somewhere in there, and a couple light primer strikes because of improper maintenance are all I have to complain about. So I've got as you can see on my custom stock, this is a Magpul grip, but I cut it down and beveled the back of it off, because you'll notice with the Rockout magazine, when you go to load, you can see how close your knuckles come, even with the grip cut down, I would say about 3/8 of an inch and beveled off on the back. But if you watched in the video, I tend towards a grip something like that. I've never felt very good like this. I've always kind of liked to wrap up around the gun more. So you can see I've got plenty to grab a hold of, but it does not get in the way of the magazine change. Vented the handguard actually does make a difference. If you have oil on your barrel when you start shooting and your handguard isn't vented, you'll start getting smoke up around your sight window. So that's really irritating. We got some 25 round Checkmate Industries mags. These things are sweet. They're incredibly reliable. I think that they might be military issue also at this point. Couldn't say for sure. And then just a standard old USGI, M14 mag that I got at an Army Navy store. So anyhow, guys, that's my go-to gun. Wish I had time to shoot it some more for you this weekend and really give you an idea what it's like to run with. But there it is. We'll be getting into M1As a lot more later on, because I have two of them and I love them, and they serve two different purposes, the two that I have, and I would highly recommend them to anybody who's looking into getting into 308 battle type rifles, because their accuracy for the money, the accuracy and reliability value of the M1A is really hard to beat. I know that an AR-10 is more accurate, but probably not as reliable. The FAL reliability is pretty well anybody's guess which one's better. Just depends on who you talk to. And the M1A is pretty well accepted as being more consistently accurate. G3 is super accurate, but reliability is definitely questionable. So anyhow, guys, the M1A, go out, get one. I really hope to shoot this some more for you sometime coming up here, and really give you an idea what it's like to run, go out, play with my other M1A a little bit. But anyhow, that's Good Guys Gear for this week. I'm sorry we're not having any more fun. I wish we could. but you know, trucks are broken down and stuff, and you got to do what you got to do. I almost forgot I haven't had my CZ in the video. That's it. I just wanted to put my CZ in the video. Thanks a bunch, guys. Good Guys Gear. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, comment, even if it's negative. Let us know. You know, we're just starting out. If you've been following us, you can see we don't have that many videos up. We don't have that many subscribers or comments or anything like that. So even if it's negative, give us a hard time, guys, because, you know, we're trying to enjoy this, have fun, and, you know, give you the opinion of a couple of non-expert, you know, just work-a-day guys who are into their guns. But we can give you better stuff if you comment and you subscribe and you tell us what you want to see and ask us questions, criticize us. You know, I had a guy call me on the CZ magazine video because the wording was misleading and it sounded like I was saying the gun was an SP01, and I appreciate that. You know, anything, if you want to give us a hard time, whatever, or if you like what we're doing, everything helps. Let us know. What do you want to see? What do you want to hear? What do you want us to do different? You know, because I don't sit there and watch my videos online, so it's not like I have to make them where I really like them. I want to make them where you really like them. I want to make them where you see what you want to see. So anyhow, like it, subscribe, please comment, tell us what you want to see. But anyhow, that's alrighty on the SOCOM 16. I really hope that we'll get out to shoot for you guys a little bit more coming up here. But just can't happen right now. Really appreciate you watching though.